So, there's a lot of stress going on around what's going on in Israel. Those of us who have chosen to look at the photographs and look at the videos and, just read some of these heart-wrenching, heartbreaking stories, it really, it can take its toll. And I would assume the more connected you are, the more it hurts. Right here in our law office, one of the lawyers who works for us is one of my law school classmates' daughters. And he works in the office, as does his daughter. And she's been so ill from what's happened over the past week that she hasn't come into work. So I wanted to talk. I asked Joan about getting someone on to talk about PTSD and how, all of these images, the video images, the still photograph images, the stories that we're hearing, how that affects people. And even though it's thousands of miles away, how it affects people here in New York. So we have on the line Dr. Imran Ali, an assistant clinical professor at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City, a board-certified medicine and internal medicine supportive care specializing in oncology rehabilitation at the New Jewish Home, and a regular contributor to several radio and television shows. Dr. Ali, it's Arthur Aidala. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Arthur, for having me on today.
Well, the pleasure is actually all mine. You're doing us a favor. So, as you just heard me say, there's a woman here. She's in her late 20s. She's a Jewish young lady, and she hasn't been in the office all week because of what's going on. And as far as I understand, it's not that there's anyone who she knows personally over there, or lost anyone over there. It's just how close it hits the home. We're right here on 45th and 5th in Manhattan. Just a few blocks away from our office. You have people out there screaming, "Kill the Jews, gas the Jews."
Wow.
She is a Jewish young lady. So how does this affect human beings?
Well, as you mentioned at the beginning of the segment, I'm working at the New Jewish Home, so I have a lot of people here who are directly affected. In fact, I met a resident last week who actually was telling me how the images that she's seeing on the television screen are, triggering old memories of the fear and devastation during World War II. She's actually a Holocaust survivor. And, it was eye-opening when she really talked about how this was triggering, the past memories. And, PTSD is something that we just started to recognize more in the 1990s. It became more of a diagnosis that we really were, seeing in mostly veterans. But you have to understand that PTSD doesn't have to be, just only in veterans or those in combat. It is basically post-traumatic stress disorder as a syndrome that often occurs after any kind of exposure to a real or even a threatened episode of injury or sexual assault. The event and fear in some individuals, it actually affects the brain chemistry. It affects the part of the brain called the amygdala, where our fear response is activated. So, technically you need to be exposed to an actual exposure, but now since so many people have loved ones in Israel, and also I've spoken to some people who have loved ones who are aid workers in Gaza and some families there as well. And it actually is affecting them in real life, even though they're so far away. So it is really causing a mental toll. And while it may not be, officially PTSD in everyone, it's certainly causing significant anxiety. Because a lot of people are describing the sensation of being helpless, and not being able to, really intervene or change things.
Well, I will tell you, there's also a part of it, I think, we're talking to Dr. Imran Ali, like, I don't want to say like there, but for the grace of God go I, but it just seemed almost like something that you'd see in like a movie. That right. Like that could never really happen, and then it really happened. We know from at least World War II, bombs coming down from airplanes flying overhead, and going back to the Romans and hand-to-hand combat and the Civil War, before that the Revolutionary War. But this was like people at a rock concert, young people getting executed, stealing people's babies. I mean, doctor, maybe because I have a 1-year-old, and now they're taking videos of the babies and showing them. Look, I'm not Jewish. Okay, I think I'm in a pretty secure environment where I live, and yet it has absolutely affected me in a way that I don't remember anything else since our version of this happening, which was on September 11th. So what happens? It is,
as you said. I mean, it is Israel's equivalent of September 11th, and now as this war plays on, it's bringing in all kinds of other issues that are just going to lead to more devastation on every side. And when it comes to children, I like to tell the audience that, you should shield children from all of this excessive wall-to-wall television coverage. And, when journalists discuss, they have a report and they say, the following images may be disturbing, they say that for a reason, because some people are very sensitive. And, for the mental health, and it is Mental Health Awareness Month, I think we need to really address that. And, a lot of organizations have counselors, and I think people like your friend you just described, they should take advantage of the counselors to discuss and process their feelings as they see the events unfold.
So that's, again, Dr. Imran Ali, that's your obviously initial suggestion is to see a mental health professional. What if it's you're not at that point, but yet you don't want to you don't want to avoid knowing what's going on in the world, right? You don't want to just put your head in the sand,
right? Right.
What are your thoughts about that, Dr. Ali?
So, the print media and radio, like we're on right now. I think the images are sometimes just over the top, and by journalism standards, we have to pixelate graphic images. But I'm surprised to see that a lot of the coverage, nationally or whatever, some of it is not shielded. So I think I would recommend those who are really sensitive to, stick to print media and stick to radio.
Dr. Imran Ali, I just, I want to thank you. I know you're out there helping a lot of people, especially, you're obviously working in an area where there are a lot of Jewish folks. And, have they confided in you, like their reaction to America's reaction about this?
Well, of course, they're very supportive of the action that's being taken to wipe out Hamas. But I was very touched by, a lot of our Jewish residents who were talking about the devastation, but also talking about their frustration with the whole situation in general, because, it's bad for everyone. No one is benefiting from this at all, on both the Israeli side and the Palestinian side. And it's just such a conflict that has just been going on for decades. And I was very touched by the interactions I've had with the residents here who, were really, talking to me as a Muslim to try to come together and find common ground, because this was just a senseless attack that nobody can explain.
Well, period. I think leading by example, and I was not going to bring up your name, but since you just did, I think that's, I think it's a beautiful expression of people really helping people from two different religions that are obviously, at least in that part of the world, not doing too well coexisting. Dr. Imran Ali, thank you so much for finding the time. Thank you for your hard work.
Of course, Arthur. Thank you.
Your compassion and your caring for people who really need it. All right, folks, we're going to be back at the bottom of the hour. I have Lauren Fix coming on talking about some car talk. Actually, I'm going to have Joan talk to her about some car talk. Don't go away.